Salem has seen its share of gut-wrenching trials, shattered families, and tear-soaked goodbyes. But the upcoming courtroom climax for young Rachel Black feels like it could rewrite the rules of heartbreak on Days of Our Lives. Fans have been holding their breath for weeks, watching this innocent girl caught in the crossfire of adult schemes, lies, and DiMera-level manipulation. Now, with the final verdict set to drop next week, the burning question on everyone's lips is simple yet devastating. Are we about to say goodbye to Rachel for good, the released previews are already sending shockwaves through the fandom, painting a picture of raw fear, fragile hope, and the kind of family chaos that only days can deliver. Buckle up, Salemites, this one is going to hurt. Let's rewind just enough to feel the weight of what's coming. Rachel, the daughter whose very existence has been tangled in custody, battles, secret parentage reveals, and Kristen DiMera's signature brand of obsessive love, finds herself standing before a judge who holds her entire future in his hands. This isn't some minor traffic ticket or a slap on the wrist. Misdemeanor. This is the culmination of a storyline that's had viewers glued to their screens. Rachel's involvement in events that spiraled far beyond of her control, thanks to the adults around her who keep dragging her into their toxic orbit. Whether it was a misguided attempt to protect her mother or the fallout from one of Kristen's many "I'll fix this" disasters, the girl has been painted as the scapegoat. And now, the courtroom in Salem is about to become the stage for what could be her final bow. The previews don't waste a single second on subtlety. We open on Rachel in that stark, intimidating courtroom, her small frame swallowed by the formal setting. Her face is pale, eyes wide with the kind of terror only a child who's seen too much can carry. She clings desperately to Kristen's hand, fingers intertwined so tightly it's as if letting go would make a whole world crumble. Kristen, ever the fierce, unhinged protector, stands beside her daughter like a lioness ready to roar, but there's a crack in her armor this time. You can see it in the way her usually steely gaze flickers with something dangerously close to panic. This is Kristen DiMera. We're talking about the woman who's faked deaths, stolen babies, and manipulated half of Salem without blinking. Yet, here she is, reduced to squeezing her daughter's hand, as if it's the only thing anchoring her to reality. The chemistry between them in these flashes is electric, raw maternal, love mixed with the guilt Kristen knows she bears for dragging Rachel into this mess in the first place. And then comes the moment that's already breaking hearts online. Rachel turning to Marlena Evans for what feels like one last lifeline. The hug they share is slow, lingering, and loaded with decades of history. Marlena, the town's eternal voice of reason. The psychiatrist who's counseled generations through their darkest hours, wraps her arms around the trembling girl with that signature warmth we've come to cherish. It's the kind of embrace that screams, "I've got you," even as the camera lingers on Rachel's face buried in Marlena's shoulder, her shoulders shaking just enough to hint at silent sobs. Viewers who followed Marlena's journey from her own battles with possession and loss to her role as Rachel's quiet champion know this. Hug isn't just comfort, it's a farewell wrapped in hope. Marlena has fought for this child before, whispering words of encouragement in the hospital corridors and offering therapy sessions that felt more like family therapy. But even the legendary doctor, Evans, looks haunted here, as if she senses the verdict might tear this fragile bond apart. Enter Belle Black, the fierce attorney and Black family stalwart who's been Rachel's legal guardian angel in all of this. Belle has poured everything into the case, late nights poring over files, heated strategy sessions with Brady, and that trademark Black determination to see justice served fairly. Her plan was airtight on paper, argue Rachel's age, her lack of true intent, the toxic influence of the adults around her, and push for community service or supervised probation instead of the nightmare of juvenile detention. We can keep her home. Belle has been telling anyone who would listen. She's just a kid who got caught in the storm. Fans have been rooting for Belle's courtroom brilliance, remembering how she's turned the tide in past cases with her sharp cross-examinations and emotional appeals. But Days of Our Lives never lets hope bloom without stomping it down. The previews make it brutally clear Belle's strategy is about to hit a brick wall. Something or someone will derail her carefully laid arguments at the worst possible moment, leaving her standing in stunned silence as the gavel looms. And that someone is none other than Kristen herself. True to her chaotic legacy, Kristen won't play the supportive witness or the remorseful mother. Oh no, she's going to cause a full-blown commotion that could torpedo everything. Picture this, the courtroom erupts as Kristen rises to her feet, voice cracking with that signature DiMera fire, hurling accusations that drag every skeleton out of the closet past. Crimes, family betrayals, even pointed fingers at Brady or the Hortons. It's the kind of outburst that makes the judge bang his gavel, repeatedly while security inches closer. Kristen's help has always been a double-edged sword. Remember how her schemes to win Brady back blew up in everyone's faces? This time, her dramatic flair might be the very thing that seals Rachel's fate. Instead of calming the room, she ignites it, turning what could have been a sympathetic hearing into tabloid-level chaos. The previews tease her wild eyes and trembling hands, and longtime fans know exactly what that means. Kristen is about to make things 10 times worse in the name of protecting her daughter. Even if the charges somehow don't stick, if Belle's last-ditch efforts or some surprise testimony buys Rachel a reprieve from juvenile detention, the judge's options are still chilling. The previews hint at the possibility of institutionalization, and not just any facility. We're talking a return to Bayview, that shadowy psychiatric hospital where Salem's most troubled souls have been locked away for their own good. Rachel's already spent time there under troubling circumstances. The thought of sending her back feels like a cruel full-circle moment. Or worse, the judge could opt for another out-of-town treatment center, one far from the familiar streets of Salem where family could visit daily. Imagine Rachel stripped of her support system, surrounded by strangers in sterile hallways. Her only connection to home, a weekly phone call that might get cut short. The previews flash quick cuts of her face crumpling at the mention of these alternatives, and it's impossible not to feel the dread. What hits hardest is the emotional fallout. The verdict is clearly designed to unleash. Rachel won't just be disappointed, she'll be utterly devastated, her wide eyes filling with the kind of fear that no child should ever know. We've watched her grow from a precocious toddler into a young girl, carrying the weight of adult sins, learning to navigate Kristen's volatility, Brady's divided loyalties, and the constant tug-of-war over her custody. The previews capture her post-ruling collapse perfectly. Shoulders, slumped voice barely a whisper as she asks the adults around her, "What's going to happen to me now?" That single line, delivered with heartbreaking vulnerability, is going to echo in fans' minds for weeks. Will there be a farewell scene that rivals the show's greatest exits? Picture tearful hugs in the courthouse hallway, Rachel clinging to Brady one last time, whispering promises she might not be able to keep. Kristen's mascara-streaked face as she vows to fix this yet again, Marlena pressing a gentle kiss to Rachel's forehead, murmuring that she'll always be there no matter the miles. And Belle defeated but resolute, already plotting the next appeal while fighting back her own tears. This isn't just another plot twist, it's the kind of seismic shift Days of Our Lives does best, ripping a beloved character from this canvas and forcing everyone to adapt. Rachel's presence has been a constant thread weaving through DiMera Black family sagas, bringing levity amid the darkness and reminding viewers that even in Salem innocence can still exist. Losing her to detention Bayview or some distant facility would leave a massive void. Brady would be shattered, his already complicated life fracturing further. Kristen's obsession would spiral into even darker territory, perhaps a desperate escape plan or a revenge scheme that drags half the town down with her. Marlena and John would rally the family, but even they couldn't hide the grief in the ripple effects. New storylines for Belle as she fights the system potential custody battles reignited, and maybe even a surprise return down the line if the show pulls one of its classic not really gone maneuvers. Of course, Days loves to keep us guessing until the very last second. The previews end on that classic freeze frame of Rachel's devastated expression, the judge's mouth forming words we don't yet hear, and the faint sound of Kristen's voice rising in protest. It's engineered to torture us through the weekend, leaving fans speculating in forums and social media threads. Will Rachel walk free but changed forever? Will Kristen's outburst actually work in some twisted way, or is this truly the heartbreaking Farewell, we've been dreading Rachel shipped off-screen. Her story paused until some future resurrection. One thing is, certain next week's episodes are going to deliver drama on a scale that only Days of Our Lives can. The courtroom will crackle with tension. Families will fracture under the pressure, and Rachel's wide-eyed innocence will be tested like never before. Whether this verdict marks the end of her chapter in Salem or simply a painful detour, one thing is clear: the tears will flow, the gasps will echo, and viewers will be left clutching their remotes, hearts pounding. So Salem faithful, steel yourselves. We might be saying goodbye to Rachel sooner than we think, but in a town built on miracles and second chances, never count anyone out completely. Tune in next week and prepare for the sobs.